sashes themselves, I do want to make one other point. Talk about the trim on the interior and the exterior. We've already talked about the ropes and the weights and all that stuff. One of the things that I've seen a lot is if somebody replaces the trim in the house at some point, or even when people say, oh, they don't build them like they used to, sometimes they didn't do the best thing either. Your trim on a window like this, your framing, you'd have a nail going this side, and you'd have a nail going this as well. So many times, you see a nail go right in here. Now, if you get a nail going in there, you're going to catch. Either the weight's going to catch, or the rope's going to catch, and it's going to break. It just doesn't feel right. Something's wrong. You can't figure out what it is, and everything's sealed up. It's just a mess. So if you do replace your trim, interior or exterior, make sure that you're going into solid stuff. And especially people that, contractors. They're using nail guns on exterior trim. There's like ding, 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 ding. A lot of times it's just going right through infinite space, and it's just a mess. So be careful, be aware, be careful. And if you hire a contractor and it's your house, make sure they know what they're doing. I would be neurotic enough to hand nail this stuff instead of using a nail gun anyway. So just thought I'd mention that. Okay, so let's talk sashes. And I'm not sure where to start. I want to cut some glass. I want to talk about treating rot, and I want to maybe even take the sash apart because I'm talking about glass. So before we get into rot, let's just talk about glass. I guess we can start at any place. So let's assume, and this is a window when I was out of town, that my neighbor or my friend called me and he goes, hey, my neighbors are replacing all their windows and they're throwing the sashes in the dumpster. Do you want it? And I'm like, yes. I didn't ask, what size they were, how old the house was. I knew it was about a 100-year-old house. Some of the glass might be old weight glass, and they're just chucking the stuff in the dumpster. I'm like, yes, just save it for me. I don't need them, but I'll figure it out. This is one of those windows. And it's pretty typical of what you run into. Oh, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with this sash. This sash is in fantastic shape. I would repair the glazing a little bit, repaint it, call it good. Clean it up. It's a perfectly good sash. Just throw it away, put in new windows. Good for them. I hope it's great. Whatever. I'm going to just briefly talk about what I did for years. If you need to replace the glass, or if you want to salvage the old wavy glass. I'm crazy about good chisels, and I found that the best way for me is if you take the chisel and you very carefully, just kind of work your way through there with it laying on the bench. This isn't working so well for demonstration purposes, but a lot of times the really loose stuff will pop off there. Sometimes big chunks will pop off, and you just want to be really careful with your chisel. And like I said, this is just the way I do it. People have different ways of doing it. Rest that on the glass and just try to carefully just tap your way through there and break that seam. You can also go this way and clean that edge up. And you also, this edge right here, you don't want to take your chisel and gouge that all out, because that is the edge that you have to ride on when you're putting your glazing on. My rule of thumb about this thing kind of changes a lot, but if a lot of the loose glazing come off, I used to say definitely more than half. For today, let's just say half. If half the glazing easily comes off, I would try to remove the rest of the glazing and remove the window. If only a third or so of the glazing is coming off, I would just reglaze that area and then paint it, and you should be fine. If you have a lot of glazing that's really dry and really hard, and it's not coming off, you're increasing the odds that you're going to break the glass just by trying to remove it. And if it's wavy glass, it's even more frustrating because you spent all this time and then you broke it. So That's generally the way I think. And the reason why I like to take the glass out is because, and I'll show you when we glaze a new sash. I like to back bed it, because if you have glazing on the inside edge and then you put your glass in and then glaze the outside edge, it's perfectly sealed and encapsulated in the glazing countertop. And that's going to give you a tight seal that's going to last a long time. So with that, let's just cut some glass and glaze the window. And this is where you really want to come up and see this, because I'm going to do this from here. And we're just going to, with this window sash, I made this just for demonstration purposes.